And joining us now for more of a deeper dive on today's market activity, we've got Rachelle Connell, who is the president and owner of Portia Capital Management. And Rachelle, it's good to have you here with us this afternoon. Would love to get your perspective on what was behind the midday reversal that we've been tracking here.
I think we're just seeing fear and risk off at a maximum at this point. People do not want to be invested. Whether that's right or wrong, that remains to be seen. But earlier you mentioned the death cross. I think a lot of people are looking at the moving averages and they're concerned, and so they're continuing to take money off the table, especially in the tech stocks.
And so then in terms of the companies that you see with an upside in this climate, in your notes, you included chip maker NVIDIA, as well as semiconductor equipment maker Lam Research Corp. What sort of upside do you see there, especially when you see now this COVID outbreak taking part in some parts of China that could possibly add more pressure on supply chains?
Well, I looked at the fundamentals at both Lam Research and in NVIDIA, and they're very strong. I mean, they have a lot of growth that will move them forward, and their profit margins are strong. And we still need semiconductors. And in general, during periods of high inflation, semiconductors and technology does well. They have the ability to push on their price increases and to maintain their profitability.
Rachelle, one bad inflation report after the other. How do you expect that? When do you expect that to come down? And how do you expect that it is impacting investment?
I don't know that I expect it to come down for a while. I mean, every time any of us go to the gas pump or the grocery store, we just see higher and higher prices. And obviously, given with what's going on over in Ukraine, that may continue in the short term. Hopefully, if we have some sort of peace or semi settlement, then maybe we'll see some relief, especially in the commodities, oil, natural gas, and hopefully even in the food and those commodity areas as well.
Rachelle, I want to also talk about something that you're tracking particularly, and the interest in green investing, especially with regard to the Russia-Ukraine war. What do you expect? What do you anticipate in terms of the growth for more ESG thematic type of plays at a point in time like this?
That's very interesting that you bring that up. I noticed the first week of the Ukraine war, you had more investment houses that were either rolling out green products in the form of mutual funds, or they were putting more marketing power behind those funds. I think there's a rationale behind that, obviously. We don't want to be as dependent long term on other parts of the world for our fuel, nor does Europe. And so that green movement is going to be enhanced over time. And so I think a lot of investors are going to be looking closer at ESG, especially that G part, the green.
And to that point, then, to follow up on that, when we do see sometimes we see these energy price spikes, some pain at the pump, we hear a lot more debate about people making that shift, that adoption into greener and cleaner energy. But then sometimes we see that attention start to wane as prices go back down. How might things be different this time in light of what we're seeing with the Russia-Ukraine crisis? And as you say, trying to sort of wean dependence off of certain regions.
I think in the short term, investors and consumers want some relief in terms of prices. I think right now we're patient because obviously the suffering that's occurring over in the Ukraine, hopefully we'll be able to ride that out in the near term. And we'll have some relief, maybe with more energy being turned on within our own country. And maybe we'll make more advantages towards the green movement. We'll see more adoption of that as well. People will be more open to it now if it doesn't come at too much of a price.
Right now, polls show Americans are still supportive of the Biden administration's plans and their banning of Russian oil. How long do you think that keeps up? And do you think the price of gas begins to take its toll on demand?
I think people, every day they see the suffering over in Ukraine. I think it's going to be harder for the average middle class consumer and those below middle class. I think we'll be having to possibly change the way that we function as consumers, maybe travel less, maybe we'll see less travel going forward. Well, it's going to be interesting as we're moving into the summer months. Are we going to see less driving? I've also heard, obviously, that airline prices are going to be going up. Are we going to see people traveling less because they just can't afford that? Or are they going to move things around? Or is there enough movement within their personal budgets so that they can, take on the continuing increase in energy prices?
Those are some of the questions we'll have later on for the president and CEO of Hawaiian Airlines, Rachelle Connell, president and owner of Portia Capital Management. Appreciate you being with us today. Thank you.